News that the California terrorists gamed the K-1 fiancé visa system, and then today's shocking news that ISIS may now be able to print passports. How vulnerable are we to another attack here in the United States? And how would President Marco Rubio deal with the growing threats? On the record's Griff Jenkins sat down with the 2016 GOP presidential candidate, Senator Marco Rubio.
I just spent the last week in San Bernardino, the worst attack since 9/11 for terrorists. Folks in California and here in Iowa are scared. We had failings by the visa program. The FBI missed warnings. My question to you is, what actions, if you were president right now, would you be taking?
Well, people, first of all, are scared because they sense the threat. It continues to grow, and the president doesn't know what he's doing. In fact, on Sunday night, he gave a speech that was supposed to reassure the American people, and I think it made things worse. He gave a speech where he basically announced that these are the problems we have, but we're not going to change anything. What we would be doing is multifaceted. We need to rebuild our intelligence programs. Our intelligence programs today need to be expanded to figure out ways to get access to encrypted devices, such as these attackers used, the dark spaces in the internet where a lot of radicalization is happening. We need to improve our military capabilities. We're cutting over close to $1 trillion of defense spending over the next 10 years. So as the world grows more dangerous, we're growing less capable. We need a comprehensive review of our immigration laws, particularly for non-permanents, those who are coming here on visas, because ISIS has established a very sophisticated understanding of all of our different visa programs and are looking to infiltrate people by manipulating them, not to mention taking advantage of the Syrian refugee crisis. And then we need to put together a coalition in that region to defeat ISIS militarily and reject it ideologically. You can't just do that from the air. Anyone who says we can do it just with air power is not, either doesn't know what they're talking about or isn't being truthful. We will have to increase airstrikes, but there needs to be a ground force that defeats them. And while Kurds are doing a great job of holding the Kurdish areas, we need a Sunni Arab force on the ground that we will help by embedding special operators alongside them to ultimately defeat ISIS militarily in the Sunni regions and reject them ideologically as well.
You've laid a lot out there. Let me press you on immigration. Folks have been critical of your immigration plan as recent as the Syrian refugees. What are you going to do specifically, and is there something with this K-1 fiancé visa to ensure that another Tashfeen Malik doesn't slip into the United States?
But understand that when we've dealt with immigration in the past, the focus has been on what do we do with people that are already here illegally. The issue we're focused on now primarily is people trying to enter legally as doctors or students or as fiancés, but also people trying to come in as refugees, including through the southern border. And ISIS and other radical jihadist groups have figured out and have a pretty clear understanding of how to manipulate that program, in addition to the use of visa waivers. So these are new topics. This is the first time in modern history of this country that an enemy has tried to manipulate our legal immigration system, something that I've been working on to reform for a long time, and is trying to manipulate our legal immigration system to insert radicals or those who have been radicalized into the country. And we need to modernize those policies to confront that threat.
An overhaul? A total review?
Well, in the case of visa waivers, for example, we should be requiring more. You know, the visa waiver program is solely dependent on the host country. So we are relying on them to do the background and the security check. And so adding things like biometric requirements that they also need to fingerprint the people that are coming here. You know, our visa waiver program security is only as good as the program the host country has in place. That needs to be re-examined, especially for certain key countries that we've extended that to. On the cases of the immigrant visas or the non-immigrant visas that people are coming on, student visas, professional visas for doctors and things of this nature, we need to understand that ISIS is specifically recruiting people who fit that profile to take advantage of that program, and we need to improve our security and our background checks with regards to people that are coming in on what have normally been a pretty benign program, but now pose potentially a threat to the country's future.
FBI Director Comey said this week that our ability to monitor has been impaired in a recent hearing. Are there things that you believe the FBI needs to be enhanced for us to identify the next radicalized threat in America?
Well, first we need to reverse the terrible decision that was made earlier this year to take down the metadata program, where we now are relying on private companies to hold data, but there's no requirement on them to keep it for any period of time. So some of these companies may barely keep records. You got to fight through their general counsel to get access to them, and it doesn't allow us to paint a full picture of what these people are doing and who they might be coordinating with. Beyond that, we need to begin to address the issue of encryption. There's no easy answer to that, because encryption is put in place now as a matter of course for most Americans, and depending on the device you use, as a way of protecting your identity and your private information. But we also know that terrorists are using encryption in a way that even now, in the aftermath of San Bernardino, the law enforcement agencies in charge of the investigation are having trouble painting a full picture because a lot of the things that these terrorists use were encrypted.
And we'll have much more with Griff's interview with Senator Marco Rubio. And a bonus, Senator Marco Rubio's brother, Mario, gives Griff his first TV interview. That's coming up, so stick around. Earlier, right here on the record, you heard presidential candidate Senator Marco Rubio tell our Griff Jenkins just how important it is to win the war on terror. And now you will meet a man who fought for this country, Mario Rubio. He joins his brother, his younger brother, Senator Marco Rubio, to go on the record.
Did you ever think in a million years that you would be sitting here listening to your younger brother talking about the security of the nation and holding the highest office in the land?
You know, early on, I thought he'd had the potential to do that. I think he's worked very hard over the years, so I didn't put it out of the realm of possibility, quite frankly. He's a smart man, and I believe in him.
You were born in Cuba.
Yes.
Came with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean for your little brother to be running for president, coming from parents of Cuban descent, you born in Cuba as well?
You know, I think it's a great honor, first of all, for our family. You know, to have him taking that role to serve in that capacity for this nation. My dad was very, very proud of this nation and the things that had offered him and had offered his family through the years. So, to me, it's just a great honor to know that, you know, I have a brother who is stepping up and trying to do what he can for this country at the highest level possible. So I don't know how else to describe it but that way.
What's it like campaigning with your brother on the campaign
Well, I think this is the
trail?
first time he's out with us, although he did when I was running for Senate. Dude, he lives in Jacksonville, Florida. I live in Miami. He's lived there since the 70s. So I can just, when I was running for the Senate, we saved a lot of money on hotels by staying at his house. So, but he's got this huge dog that looks like a horse. So the thing was all
What's the
over.
dog's name?
Tank.
Tank.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, I, like Marco, have an older brother, and he was my idol. I look up to him to this day. But looking back at him, the pride you must feel to be on the campaign trail with him today.
Oh, I am. I'm very proud of him. But I'll tell you, I was more the athlete. He's more the brains, you know, so I have to leave it at that.
What do you think of that? Because you wanted to play football too. He was a star.
It worked out. I think it all worked out. I would have played in the NFL had it not been for my lack of size, speed, and talent, you know.
But
All right, let me ask you this. Tell me a story, without getting him in trouble, but what's something that he doesn't want you to tell me about him?
oh, there's no such thing. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There isn't anything that I don't think he would say, oh, don't say that. I mean,
I put it all in my book, An American Son, now available on paperback.
There you go, a plug for it.
one of the funny things, I remember him playing in the backyard with, I have a daughter who's 30-something years old, so, you know, she was younger at that time, and they would play in the backyard, and he would, you know, almost like dodgeball type thing, you know, and they would play in the backyard, and I remember that because I thought it was funny to have my brother playing with my daughter in the backyard, like he was a little kid, yet he wasn't.
I could only beat the little kids in dodgeball. That's why I did it. Yeah.
There you go.
So,
Well, thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your service. It's such an important issue. My last question, Mario, I'll give to you, and that is, when people you know in Jacksonville, Florida, where you live, others come up and talk to you about whether or not they're actually going to vote for your brother, what do you tell them?
they got to vote for my brother. What do you mean? That's what I tell them. I have my candidate, so I'm trying to get them all lined up there in Jacksonville. So.
Well, good luck to you, and we look forward to catching up with you elsewhere on the campaign trail.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Senator.
doing this.
Thank you.
For Griff's entire interview with 2016 GOP presidential candidate Senator Marco Rubio and his brother Mario, go to GretaWire.com.